Hello to you, I'm Jesse Johnson. This is slavery, where the slaves don't know they're slaves. The methods of enslavement. There are two types of slavery. One, you know you're a slave, therefore you can break the chains politically and economically. Two, you don't know you're a slave, remaining one until you know politically and economically. Virtually every single human, every single person, who works in the capitalist system is a slave. This includes whites, blacks, browns, etc., all shades. Let me say this. A, you don't want to be a slave, but you want to make another person a slave. B, slavery has been around for 12,000 years, or approximately since 10,000 BC. C, in the last 1,000 years, Muslims enslaved millions of whites of Europe. Whites, European Americans of the United States of America, enslaved millions of black Americans, their own fellow Americans. Whites are not only racist, but the most extreme anti-Americans, and can barely be called Americans themselves at all, politically speaking. D, the greatest slave mentally to the white man is the next white man. A word of note. The black people of the United States of America were enslaved for 245 years, 1620 to 1865 approximately, and physically built 50% to 55% of this country. Whites built 40% to 45% of this country and administrated and controlled the process because they're in power. All the other people physically built 5% to 10% of this country. Without blacks, the United States of America would have been, and still be, a third world country. Slavery, slaves, enslavement. The methods used against you to force you and compel you to be a slave and remain a slave till your dying day. Yes, I'm talking to you specifically, the listener, and several billion others. About 3/4 of the adult population of the total Western cultures of the world are slaves and do not know they are slaves. And almost all, upwards of 98% of the adult population have no clear grasp of what the capitalist system is or what it stands for, including the capitalists themselves. The capitalist system is structured on three major platforms. One, profit or stolen labor. Two, slavery or the taxing of an individual. The taxing of an individual physically and or mentally over 50% to 99%. Politically, economically, artistically, poverty-wise, educationally, law-wise, religiously-wise, family-wise, etc. Number three, hierarchy, or a system of inequality in all major institutions of humanity, where there are 12 institutions to humanity, where great masses of human have-nots and the very few haves, who have beyond comprehension. There are two major categories to the capitalist system. A, market capitalism, such as what's happening in the United States of America, and B, state capitalism, such as what's called communism in Russia or China. To give you an idea of the capitalist hierarchical inequality, one person who can barely get $1 per day, another person has $2 billion net spendable. What sense does it make for one human to have 2 billion times more than another human? This is real. It is quite actual. Here's another example. The parking meter where you park your car costs a quarter. The parking ticket, if you don't pay the quarter, costs $50. 25 cents or a quarter equals 100%. 4 quarters in a dollar equals 400%. 400% times 50 equals 20,000%. No bank, no gangster can ever charge this, have ever, and never would charge this much. Maybe 10%, maybe 60%, maybe 200%, but utterly never 20,000%. Only the anti-human, anti-humane European Americans' unjust, anti-just, justice capitalist system does this. The capitalist slave system have three forms as its base. 1. Monetary capital. 2. Capitalism. The ISM on the end of capitalism means different systems of, different doctrines of, such as industrial capitalism, leisure capitalism, casino capitalism, etc. Number 3, the capitalist society. These are the three forms that capitalism that is the base of capitalism. Slavery, humans enslaving humans, and humans enslaving non-humans, such as horses, cows, dogs, etc., have been around for at least 10,000 years. At least as far as I can tell. No living being want to be a slave. Zero. That includes you. Slavery is therefore slavery is inherently socially wrong by nature and all living things, including you. Slavery continues this very day, this very second, as a matter of fact, in many forms, physically, mentally, etc. Before 12,000 years ago, humans basically lived in harmony with nature. Their cultures survived for tens of thousands of years. Today, a culture can barely make it 300 years to 1,000 years without being changed unrecognizably. The native people or indigenous people of what's now called the United States of America lived here for over 22,000 years without slavery. The Europeans came here about 500 to 550 years ago and brought the philosophy of slavery with them from the most poisonous cultures that has ever existed on earth. With the native people, nature and land owned them. Cultures that lasted 10,000, 30,000, 70,000 years. With Europeans and like-minded before them, they own the land, they own the trees, they own the rivers, they own the seas, and so forth. Cultures that can barely reach 1,000 years if lucky. So, are you between 15 and 125 years old and a member of the world Western culture? Then there is an adult. Then there's a 98% chance you are a slave. But you don't know you're a slave. You think and feel and believe you're free. You're not. There are over 20 methods capitalists use against you to enslave you against your knowledge. You're embedded in a dozen or more of them. Hold on, please. I'm going to move the camera. Hold on, please. I'm going to move the camera. Let's continue, please. We'll start with number 1. First off, methods of enslavement. Did I get that right? Get that right, please. Get it right, please. Hold on. Okay. Let's continue. Methods of enslavement without the slaves knowing they're slaves. Number 1, the government giving your tax money to other countries for free, having you work free for them without your permission. Number 2, giving your tax money as subsidies to failing corporations to prop them up. Number 3, the company you work for take a profit. That profit, part of it, is your money. It is stolen labor. Number 4, go to Treasury Direct. I think it's either gov or .com. I didn't write it here. TreasuryDirect.com.gov, one of the two. Write /BC/SBC. BC stands for birth certificate. /SBC stands for stock, such as the stock market. Stock birth certificate. They are investing in your birth certificate, your straw man or your straw woman. Straw man, straw woman means There's the real you made of flesh and blood, and then there's the straw man, straw woman, which is nothing but numbers, such as your social security card, your driver license, etc. And this type of system, capitalist system, is making money off of your slavery, unknown to you, through your birth certificate. Number 5, the federal government debt, miss spending your tax money, and then you wind up footing the bill to pay it back. Now, let's continue. Number 6, bailouts to large companies. They screw up, and you pay for it. Pork, P-O-R-K, government pork. Using your tax dollars on completely worthless, unneeded, and useless things. This is completely without your permission. Number 8, the military, using 25 to 55% of your tax dollars of the government budget for empire building, killing and genocide, and empire maintenance. Number 9, real estate, the banks making 100% or 300% interest on 30 years mortgages if you own a house. Number 10, anti-ethical, anti-just justice system. You remember the parking meter I just told you about, 20,000%? Well, keep on, look it up, and look up more of it. Number 11, keeping up with the Joneses, buying things you don't need, going into deeper debt, etc. because of it. Number 12, economic inequality. Economic inequality is one of the most powerful methods the capitalist system has, and it is institutionalized. In other words, the slaves struggle forever. And if you don't know you're a slave, you will be struggling forever. You will not even know you're in chains. Number 13 at the bottom, working 5 to 60 years at a job with little to show for it. We'll go to 14. The IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund. The IMF loans to poor countries. The poor countries, they never hand the poor country directly the money, but give the money to companies of stronger nations and have you, the poor country, pay the bill back, though never directly receiving any money. Number 15, brainwash form number 1, mental slavery. That comes in the form of gullibility, dumbed downness, stupidity, ignorance, confusion, suicide, etc., while making you think you're free, thinking you're in a great nation, etc. Number 16, credit cards. A, charging you money to spend your money. And B, getting you in debt in the first place so you can continue working. Number 17, brainwash form number 2, mental slavery. Giving you multiple identities, political identity, religious identity, poverty identity, art, education, economic identity, law identity, etc. And sub-identities. The outcome? Mass confusion and suicide, multi-forms. Number 18, forced labor, such as in concentration camps. We'll go to 19. Prison labor. Private corporation run, state sublet run. Prison labor is a form of slavery. 20, sex, prostitution, etc. 21, rampant political and economic disenfranchisement and stigmatism of large groups. Number 22, debt profiteers. They live off of other people's misery and debt. Number 23, you are not given higher wages from your job, but you are given more work, faster work, with less job safety. Number 24, debt of almost any and all kinds that keep you working. I want to thank everyone for listening and watching, and have a very good day. Please subscribe and share this video. We will meet again in my next video, so please have a fine day.